Warning, the following video has flashing lights and also includes content that may be deemed inappropriate for some viewers. Viewer discretion is advised. Who dares awaken me from my slumber? The Wendigo guy, aka Ryan Tremblay, has once again found his way into the Fox Den for this episode of Midnight Lycanthropy here on StarFox Radio. Yes, I am so hungry though, so please allow me to attend to something. Absolutely delicious. And now that I am fully revamped, recharged, and ready to stalk the Dogman, it is once again time for the Midnight Society to take a walk into the darkness. My creatures of the night, yes, welcome back once again to this episode of Midnight Lycanthropy here on StarFox Radio. The Wendigo guy, aka Ryan Tremblay, yes, has joined us once again to meet with the Midnight Society. How are you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you, dude?
Excellent, brother. It's always good to link up with you. I know you've been pretty busy, so it's been cool to get you on here bi-weekly and keep on learning. And to answer your question, editing, reading, editing, and etc., my friend.
Yeah, I mean that's basically what I've been doing too. I'm still writing my Wendigo book, so I'm writing it, then I'm going back, editing it, writing some more, editing some more, writing some more. It's pretty repetitive.
Yeah, it is. But I actually saw a really awesome commercial the other day. I think it might have been from Nike or something. And I'm working on stuff and everyone's outside running, but it's raining. And at the end of it, it just has such a great message that greatness doesn't come in like perfect aspects, man. It doesn't, you just got to work for it. It's not always coming in sunny days, man. So
Ooh,
it's true, dude. And same thing with that. I mean, I'm not, trying to be an athlete, nor are you, but it's the same work ethic, man. So yeah, you
absolutely.
just got to grind away. And actually, before we dive into what we're going to tonight, I just wanted to say to my audience, to anyone out there that tries calling me on the spot, honestly, you probably have a 6 to 7% chance to actually get me to be able to answer a phone call on the spot. You got to give me a heads up. You got to text me a little bit. Tell me, hey, can you call me later tonight? Can you call me tomorrow at this point in time? I can always text and I will definitely always text back. But I do everything from my phone, okay? So while I'm trying to sit here and edit movies on iMovie and also doing some of my artwork, every time someone tries to call me, it bumps me out of that screen unless I put my phone on Do Not Disturb, which is why I do, which is why I miss the calls.
Mm,
But periodically in between editing, I'll go back and forth and check my texts and things to be able to respond. So no one out there, hey, I got a love for a ton of people, and same thing, they'll call me right on the spot. And I just can't answer it like that. So don't take it personal out there to anybody. Just please, if you want to get a hold of me and you want me to call you at a point in time, shoot me a text so I can arrange my schedule around that because I'm like just super busy these days. So
Mr. Popularity over there.
No, I wish. It's just tough because, like I said, if I had a computer set up and things, it'd be a lot easier. But I mean, as I'm uploading stuff on Google Drive and then, onto
Mhm.
YouTube and stuff, I can't be calling on my phone or using it because every time you close out the Google Drive app, it
Oh, yeah.
restarts your upload. So if I go to answer a text message while my phone's trying to upload on Google Drive, well, I just wasted battery, time, and everything, and I got to redo it again. So
Oof, that would be aggravating, man.
I try not to get too upset about things or irritated, but hey, I'm doing what I can with what's presented in front of me. But I just really
Yep.
feel like a lot of people think that I'm dodging their calls, but it's like, man, that half hour that a lot of people end up trying to talk to me is
Mhm.
then a half hour that I've lost on other things where I could still be communicating via text while doing other things. I just can't
Right.
shove my phone by my ear and sit here and talk all the time.
Yeah, no, I can definitely testify for Kenny too. He will definitely get back to you very promptly. So just be patient.
Appreciate
He'll get
that.
back to you as soon as he can. He always does.
Appreciate that, man. Because some people just get super upset and think that we're like dodging this. Like, look,
No.
I'm editing, I am interviewing people, I am editing all my own images. I'm literally doing all my stuff. Pretty much a one man team right now, which is totally
Yeah.
fine. But those things just take time. Tonight, man, you wanted to dive into the Nahani Valley, which I think is absolutely legendary because
Yes.
there is some interesting theories out there about what could be occurring. Everything
Mhm.
from, spiritual people chopping people's heads off to supposedly
Yeah.
someone physical like you or I to people seeing the Wahala or things that resemble that all up in that area. So I definitely have always had some interesting theories, as to what could be occurring as well. I would like
Mhm.
to toss you the mic, considering you know a ton more about this topic, and I am going to open the file cabinet in my brain and get ready to stuff some stuff in there, man.
All right. So yeah, the Nahani Valley, it's a place where basically any kind of fantasy element that you can think of happens in this place. Okay. It's 413,000 acres of Canadian wilderness. All right. And people have said that there's a Garden of Eden up there, that there's UFO sightings up there. There's paranormal experiences up the wazoo up there. There's Bigfoot. There's, the Shunkawarakan, the Wahila. So, it's one of those things where you can pick your flavor and you can study the Nahani Valley. That's how interesting this place is.
That is great stuff right there. And to anyone that listens to my show, everyone should know who Ryan is. He's been here before. And since somebody before on one of my short videos left me a pretty amusing comment saying I don't introduce my guests, well, yes, I do. And that's a short video that is no longer than a minute long. So, yes, I'm not going to play the segment of me introducing my guests on a short. That's why there's a clip to the video where you can hear who they are. But, Ryan, would you like to just tell the audience real quick what you do and what you specialize in?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So my name is Ryan Tremblay or Ryan Paul Tremblay. I'm known as the Wendigo or Skinwalker guy. Okay, I specialize in cryptozoology and indigenous folklore. So what I do is I study all the tales and oral traditions from all the various tribes, and that means Bigfoot, Dogman, Skinwalkers, Wendigo, you name it, and I will analyze it and I'll look for all the connections to modern day stories. So I'm kind of a historian of sorts as well. But you can find me over on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. If you got questions, I probably have answers.
Look at that. Beautiful stuff. Do me a favor, man, too. Send me your links, dude, so that way in all your older videos that we have up, I can just add those links up in there, man,
Yeah.
because it's just good for, like I said, people can hear. There you go, man. And Ryan specializes in everything he just listed. So he actually, if all goes well, hopefully is pretty soon here is going to be the official cryptozoologist of the North American Dogman Project, which is great stuff because,
Mhm.
again, to my listeners, I try to focus more on the physical aspects of the Dogman and such, just because, again, as a journalist, too much stuff's going on out there for my brain to be able to properly take in other stuff that doesn't evolve around the missing people and the Dogman aspect. But it's super
Mhm.
good to have people such as yourself that I can send and forward people on, like Jamie last night, just people that have questions that are, yeah, it falls into, the Dogman aspect. It involved the track that he had casted.
Right.
Yet there was definitely some sort of paranormal aspects where a painting that was of a famous cryptozoologist flew off his wall while he was writing
Ooh.
something for Jody Cook. about his experience and talking to me about his Dogman encounter, etc. And then his dog started acting strange, and he heard banging basically on the side of his
God.
house. So
Whoa.
yeah, things like that. Even when it comes to the Dogman and physical stuff, I'm not narcissistic enough to think I have the answers for people all the time, or even in general. I still encourage them and forward them on
Well,
to other people.
to be
But
fair, though, nobody has all the answers. Nobody. We're all
that's
working on it together, and it does take a community. We're not going to do this alone. We're not going to come up with the answers as an individual. The teamwork makes the dream work, and that's what we get to stick to.
great stuff, man. And Dennis Carroll, actually, one of my buddies, was saying the same thing about that. We really are a team here, and people should just try to work together and help us
Yeah.
get in the proper aspects a lot quicker, for sure,
Yes.
man. It's just good to be able to, like I said, forward somebody on like that, because I didn't feel confident enough trying to give Jamie any sort of opinional aspects about that, because I don't deal with paranormal stuff. I mean, I'm
Right.
aware of it. I didn't even know that you could track ghosts by putting down salt and such. I wasn't sure that ghosts left footprints. Again, moral of the story is that's not my specialty. So it's good to
Yeah.
be able to pass people on to proper people, because there's too many people out there that think they have the proper answers, and I think they get people in trouble and also in danger sometimes. So
Oh yeah, definitely. But since your audience is mainly the Dogman stuff, I was thinking with this Nahani Valley, the one thing we should really focus on is the Shunkawarakan. Okay, and I sent you a picture of what they believe the Shunkawarakan looked like, Kenny. So I was thinking, you have that cave hyena theory, and that would match up really well with how they describe the Shunkawarakan. Okay, so the story behind the Shunkawarakan, as the Dene tribe from Canada calls them, the carry-off dogs. Okay, this thing would sneak down from the mountains into the valleys, into the actual villages of these tribes, and it would kill their dogs, okay? And it would come in basically every day and kill numerous dogs and then disappear like, a thief before the breaking of dawn.
wow, super interesting stuff right there. And yeah, I definitely would love to hear what you have to say about that. And interesting behavior in general, which people would automatically be like, oh, it has to be paranormal. Again, everyone out there, look it up. Look how many predators are nocturnal. I mean, it gives you an advantage. So
Yeah,
just because, yeah, that thing was coming at night doesn't mean it has to be supernatural. It just means it
right.
knows it has an advantage.
Well, there are some supernatural aspects to this Shunkawark, in a way, okay? Because one of the stories goes from the tribes that they got tired of this thing off their dogs, okay? So the men gathered up their muskets and they hunted this thing down and they fired numerous shots into it. And they said that, it hit it. You could see the musket balls hit it and penetrate the skin, and this thing still wouldn't fall. And it ran away, and they actually tracked it to where they tried to trap it, and they had to fire even more rounds into this thing before it finally fell. Now, is that supernatural, or could that be because this thing has, thicker muscles, thicker bones, like a prehistoric cave hyena might have?
Boom, that's great stuff. And probably a little bit of everything, like we were talking about last time. I mean, if it is supernatural or a manifestation of, negative energy or just something remembering its existence, then that would,
Right, right,
describe
right.
like the lack of damage done to it. But also a musket. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, even when we were blowing each other up with muskets, most of the time those weren't immediate unalive shots. I feel like most of those people would still be alive for quite a while before they were unalived, correct? I mean,
It depends on where they were hit. I mean, like obviously being hit in the head or being hit in the throat or something like that, that's going to do you in, because that's soft tissue and the head carries your brain. So, if that gets hit, yeah, you're a goner. So with something like the Shunkawarkin, no, it's going to have a thicker frame. It's going to have the muscle and the tendons and the thicker bones. So those shots aren't necessarily going to take it down right away.
no, for sure. And also, the reason I asked that is there's cases of, obviously grizzly bears being dropped in one shot because somebody hit them right in that, go zone. But then there's other times where someone unloads on them and doesn't even do any damage because it's just hitting the fat, and the bullets never
Right.
even
Right.
penetrate in through to organs that are going to be detrimental and then cause it to be unalived. So it's
Yes.
super interesting in that regard. And also, like you were saying, that image, yeah, William White had actually showed me that a while ago. And he was talking about how, yeah, he had thought it looked very strange along the lines of potentially yeah, a cave hyena or maybe a dire wolf or something not what we have documented as a modern day or existing species at this point in time.
Right.
And that was what, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe not even 200 years ago?
Correct. And what's interesting about that though is that's the only specimen they have of that. That's taxidermied like that. That's the only one. So you got
Hmm.
to wonder how is it they only have one? They couldn't find another one of these things. And well, I mean, 413,000 acres, you could hide so easily, Kenny. A Shunka could just go, okay, I'm going to hide from these humans, and boom, he's gone.
No, 100%. And that's what I was speaking about the other day with one of my guests, Jade, about how with the cave systems and no one really going up in there and cave hyena, yes, term,
Mm-hmm.
the cave dwelling aspect is literally in their name. I mean, even spotted hyenas still use caves. And
Right.
in Saudi Arabia, they have a cave system that has been found by the Smithsonian with fairly new human and animal bones that rank up into the thousands that show predation of hyenas. Well, that's spotted hyena behavior. And wait a second, as far as we know, there aren't spotted hyenas in Saudi Arabia, or are they? Or are they just using cave systems? So, hey, if something grabbed like that image you showed me and pulls somebody away into the cave system, that's
Mm-hmm.
that, because no one even knows that animal exists in general. And it's
Right.
just going to go back into where it lives. Like cave bears spent 90% of their time roaming around caves. They would come out and get their food and go back in. Our
Wow.
spelunker, yeah,
Cave bear
Meku.
sounds a lot like me, man. I spend 90% of my time inside and I go out for my food. Sounds a lot like me.
Yes. And Meku, a spelunker, has found really cool signs of raccoons, modern day raccoons, super deep into caves where they were just in there chilling and hanging out, more or less.
Mhm.
So, if these animals and things are using cave systems and such, and in the past humans did as well, why would not a animal that you are naming or any sort of unknown animal species not have the same behavior?
True, and I'm so glad that you brought up the cave systems because your Bigfoot audience, they're gonna love this part, Kenny. So in the Hani Valley, there's not one, but two different types of Bigfoot that are spoken about there. You got the Nukluk, which are described more like cavemen. They look more like men does, like humans with longer hair, and they got the thicker, broader muscles, but they're shorter. They're about maybe like 5, 6 feet tall. Then you got on the other side the Nakani, which were these really aggressive Bigfoot that resided in the caves that were chiseled in the mountains along the Hani Valley. So there you go about something using the cave systems. The Nakani, the Bigfoot, were using those caves to stay hidden. They would only come out of those caves to grab unsuspecting travelers like gold miners or, wandering
Mhm.
tribesmen that were out there. It got so bad that the Dene people that lived in Nahani Valley, they actually ended up moving to an island because the Nakani were coming down and taking their people so often and dragging them into the caves to, cannibalize them.
Jeez, I'm crow. I was talking to Dennis Carroll about that also as well, and he was mentioning that amongst others that have, and seemingly yourself, that there are basically, there's different versions of people, meaning some that are more violent than others, some are
Yeah.
more docile. That same thing with the Sasquatch in regards. So, like you were saying, you're going to have more of your docile ones that maybe are some of the ones that are having positive interactions with people. I don't know. And then you have the ones that are maybe even preying on those ones and also other people up in the caves and such.
It could be a product of environment too, because you got to think in the wilderness of Canada, it's going to be pretty harsh, okay? And you're going to have to be one tough hombre to survive. So if you're going to survive the winters, you're going to have to be willing to off something that, is weaker than you. That's going to be easy prey. And yeah, you're going to get aggressive in doing so. So it could be nurture versus nature. They just realize, hey, humans are easy picking. And here we go. We're bigger, we're faster, we're stronger. We can hide in these caves. We can drag them off and feast on them in these caves. And so it just, it carried on, and that's how they ended up becoming. It was their adaptation to survive.
Excellent stuff right there. And the more I think of it, it's like we were talking about earlier.
Hmm.
Honestly, all these new reports that come in, it's really no different than the 528 pages of reports I already have. I mean,
Right.
it doesn't change really. I'm not learning much more. Same description, pointy ears, glowing eyes.
Hmm.
Literally, it's kind of all in regards of the same, which is, it's okay, that's fine. But what I'm trying to say here is I am still 100%, I don't even like dealing in 100% sold on the aspect that indigenous cultures knew, again, 100% what they were looking at.
Hmm.
People in our modern day cultures do not. I mean, people think that regular animal calls are some sort of crazy cryptid canine. I mean, people, hey, everyone's got their own beliefs on things, but I have heard some bizarre, insane beliefs on just anything you can name, okay?
Oh, sure.
Yet, now when we rewind to the Native American cultures, they lived on the land, they knew what they saw. And
Yes.
I get on a daily basis regular canine prints, raccoon prints that are sent to me, and I explain to the individual, you have to think if something's even going to stand upright, its foot needs to be shaped pretty much kind of like ours, which is what we have prints of that resemble with the claws and such.
Hmm.
So, with all of this beside, there's no way in hell that indigenous cultures didn't know the difference between a track of a bear and a wolf or a track of something that they didn't recognize in the area.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
impossible.
I mean, they absolutely knew. They had different names for each thing. Like, obviously they called the wolf a wolf, but like in the case of the Cherokee, okay, they knew what wolves were. They had paintings of them. They called them wolves. They knew where they would reside, where they would hunt. But then they had the Ulanga Doglala, which was a spirit. Its name means the spirit with knife teeth. And they
Mhm.
kind of described this almost like a werewolf or a dogman that could change into a zombie, that could shapeshift and become a zombie-like human to chase you down. So yeah, they absolutely knew the differences. They didn't go, oh, well, that wolf track is the Ulanga. No, they knew. They knew. Okay, so when the tribes are saying something about Nahanni Valley, I think that's something that we have to take into consideration. I think the Canadian government agrees because Nahanni Valley, even though it's a national park, you can only go there if you get permission. Okay, so you can't just wander in there and go camping whenever you want. You have to get permission from the Canadian to go there, and even then, the only way to get there is by boat or seaplane.
Dang, that's some gnarly stuff. And correct me if I'm wrong, is that potentially kind of near the Yukon territory where Bart Slizer went and disappeared as well? He's pretty much like
Yes.
the most unknown, but should be most known outdoorsman ever. I mean, the guy was a legend, but no one really knew of him because I mean,
Yeah.
his success was pretty much before social media and stuff. Okay.
Right. Yeah, but that is very close where he disappeared. And a lot of people did go disappearing. That's why they call, Nahanni Valley the Valley of the Headless. Because all these gold miners that would go up there, they would disappear and they would find their corpses later on with their heads removed. So that's why the tribes started calling Nahanni Valley the Valley of the Headless, because all these men were showing up, their heads gone.
That's so gnarly. And the Bart Slizer case is just one of the most nightmare fuel ones I can think of because to anyone out there, just look it up and I'll touch base real quick. But this guy was a legend, okay? He didn't get hunted by things. He did the hunting, meaning they brought him into Yellowstone to help track down grizzly bears and put on collars to make sure their population was doing well. There's pictures of him in
Yep.
grizzly bear dens holding the cubs. You think that's gnarly? Well, then he was brought over to Siberia, the same thing, to help with the Siberian tigers population. He's in a tiger den holding the cubs. You see this. Okay.
Yep.
Again, this is a person that snuck up on predators. They didn't sneak up on him. So, what in the Christmas trees snuck up on him? Because they found his pouch, basically his backpack, where you could see his butt cheek mark where he was sitting on it, and
Hmm.
his bow was laid aside by this tree, so he didn't even have time to use his weapon. And all that was ever found of him was a few bone fragments, a couple pieces ripped of his clothing, his goggles that had blood splatter, and that's it.
Oh man, that makes me not want to go out into the woods ever again. Oof.
That's what I'm saying, my man. This is a guy again. Sure, I mean, yeah, he could have had a medical condition, but I mean, he wasn't that old, and I'm pretty sure he probably went to see his doctor potentially before he went out there. I don't know, but
I
he
would
could
think
have,
so.
yeah, he could have had a medical condition, whatever. But again, that's why I asked because this is near the area you're speaking about, and
Mhm.
bottom line is something snuck up on him,
Yeah.
and specialists in the area looked at the scat from bears and wolves. No human remains were found in any of that, so they ruled out that. And
Mhm.
also, nothing went to his campsite that was fully stocked with food. It's almost like
Right.
all the animals avoided that area.
Yeah, and even though Nahanni Valley has, grizzly bears, obviously, and they have different kind of things like wolves and wolverines and whatnot, none of the paw prints or anything were found in the bite marks. I think people ignore that. When you find a corpse and it's bitten by an animal, it's attacked by an animal, there's bite radiuses that you can measure. And this is chronicled by science. Science has these measurements in their documents. And none of the bodies had anything that would match the bite radius of known animals. So there you go. There's something right there that's attacking these gold miners and these people that are disappearing in Nahanni Valley, and science doesn't know what it is.
Crazy right there. And again, same thing with Bart. I mean, what the heck just leaves a couple of bone fragments, something that just literally consumed you right there? I mean, what
Right,
else is the explanation for that?
right. It sounds like something more or less carried him off and just kind of left little morsels of his body sitting around.
Yeah. I mean, cave hyenas and hyenas in general love chewing on bones. Animals in general do. Okay, my squirrel loves chewing on chicken bones for the marrow inside. I give her some
Right.
little wing bones, and when my roommates eat those, 'cause I don't really eat too much. I mean, I eat some meat, but not really anything on the bone. For another day, it just grosses me out. But either way, she loves chewing on that stuff, man.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, some animals will do that. I mean, I've seen deer actually chewing on bones too because they need the calcium that's in the bones. But if you think about science, Kenny, and think about how hyenas make their when they're hunting, right? Where's the first place that hyenas go after? They crush the head.
Yeah,
So
head neck area, boom. Yeah,
right. So you're having all these people that disappear in Nahanni Valley with their corpses being found much later on with the heads gone. So it's like, okay, so something that's very hyena-like in its method of is getting these people.
which is
So
so bizarre, and then
it
makes you
is.
wonder why it left the rest of the body behind, though, too, huh?
Right? I mean, could it be a territorial thing where they just don't want humans up there? Sure.
Yes.
Sure. I mean, are they other people that are with these miners? They very well could be. Maybe they're just leaving the ones that are found because, they already got somebody else and it's enough food for them. And they don't want to come back and carry another body away. They're not like that. They're not trying to hide their kids. So it could be
It's
something like that.
great you said that because people don't realize that predators don't really have a ton of energy stored up to waste, meaning
Right.
they or predators. A tiger sleeps most of the day, okay? But deer, for example, or herbivores have a ton of energy. There was some guy I watched earlier, I don't know, he was practicing jujitsu outside or something, and this freaking deer just comes up to him and was not happy, dude. Starts kicking him, and he's like trying to
Ouch.
kick it away with his feet, and he's like, dude, what the heck's going on, hon? Help, help. And she's just recording it. He's like, man, what the hell's wrong with this thing? He's super pissed. And that just, yes, herbivores, have more energy stored up. Like I watch my squirrel go bananas sometimes. You're like, dude, give me some of that battery charge right there,
Right?
please.
Things like deer and rabbits, they need to have that energy to survive. It's literally their life depends on it. If they stop running or they stay still for any extended amount of time, a predator is going to find them. And
Mm-hmm.
they know this, and evolution knows it. And evolution's like, well, if you're going to survive, you're going to need this speed.
It's very true. And also what you were saying about the marking of the territory, it could definitely be that, but it also could be, as sinister as this sounds, perfecting their aspect of unaliving people. And the reason I say that is because recently, all around the coast of California and also up here in New England and like Cape Cod and stuff, they've been finding seals that are decapitated, but they're not being consumed. And
Interesting.
scientists are wondering if it's either they believe up here it's great white sharks, but they're not sure out in California if it's orcas or great whites, but they believe one of them is just doing that either just to perfect the aspect of hunting or
Yep.
just doing it because again animals can be deranged like people too, so pretty much just doing that because it enjoys it.
There's also a lot of nutrients in the head. I mean, the eyes, the brain, soft tissue is filled with nutrients. So I think these predators are becoming wise and they know if we eat the head, we get the brain, we get the eyes, we get the tongue. We're getting satiated here. So I think that's what's going on.
That sounds like orca behavior then to me,
Yeah.
as you say that, because they do that with great whites as well now,
Yeah.
and they just don't even eat the rest of the white shark. They literally just squeeze out the liver out the side of the dorsal fin. They bite a big chunk out there, and they'll basically squeeze the shark in between a bunch of the orcas, and the liver pops out.
Yeah, they're smart, man. Predators are incredibly, incredibly smart. And I think people kind of underestimate the predatory animals and think, oh, they're just animals, they're dumb. No, no, their survival relies on them being cunning and smart. And so they got to come up with these ways to hunt their prey and actually be successful. They don't want to keep chasing the same prey over and over for an extended amount of time.
Wow. And that really, like I said, just kind of ties into what we've just been speaking about. It has to either be, I mean, I should not use the word has. Logically, It must be along the lines of something either perfecting its
Hmm.
tactics, marking its territory because it's ticked off, or maybe, like you were saying, there's more going on than just, say, a physical animal aspect.
Absolutely. I mean, you got to think there's tribes up there in Canada in the Honey Valley, right? And what's infamous for, being with the tribes in Canada? The Wendigo. Okay. So if you had tribes that turned into cannibals, well, there you go. You could have Wendigo, you could have the Shunkawarakan, you could have some kind of Bigfoot. I mean, they even see dinosaurs up there, Kenny. So there's so many different rabbit holes to dive down into with Nahani Valley. It's ridiculous.
No, for sure. And before we let you get back to your busy schedule, that's what's really interesting to me is when it comes to, if people want to laugh all they want, they can, it's fine. But the Dogman has so much history to it. And sure, people
Hmm.
can not like that name and it sounds corny. Hey, I didn't come up with that. Okay. More or less, what I'm just trying to say is I have 548 plus pages. 290 BC is one of the earliest depictions. The Egyptians, not the Native American cultures, but the Indian culture, speaks of all these things. Okay. Yet people are still sold and or swear up and down that something like the Loch Ness monster exists, right? Yet every image that has ever been presented as quote unquote credible has been debunked as either
Yes,
being
like
fake or
the
being a
surgeon's
log.
photograph. The surgeon's photograph. I used to love that photo as a child, and I found out it was a hoax. I was so bummed out, Kenny. I think that was a day of heartbreak for a young Ryan.
That's what I'm saying. So, how is that still taken as somebody will sit down and actually listen to a presentation about that, or any of the other lake monsters that, again, all the pictures have been pretty much proven to be waves or logs or all kinds of things along the lines of that? And again, that is taken as super highly credible. And I'm not, disrespecting any of these cryptids. I'm just trying to
No,
use an
no.
example here. The Mothman, okay, Loveland Frog, reptilians, you name it. Anyone out there, I encourage, show me more evidence than the quote unquote dogman.
Right. Well, I think I call it the Mulder syndrome. That's what I call it because it's the I want to believe. And everybody wants to believe. I want to believe. You want to believe, Kenny. But when we're presented with the facts that something is a hoax, we can't just shrug that off, okay? Because facts don't care about your feelings. If it's proven to be factual, it doesn't matter what you think. It's factual. You just have an opinion. So you got to park your opinion. You go, okay, I was wrong. Moving on. That's how we got to do it, and that's what the cryptozoology field needs.
And again, you're so correct because everyone gets like hyped about a picture, but also here's a big difference. When someone implies, oh, even though you know what it is it this or could it
Yep.
be this?
Right.
You just post what's posted, right? There was a picture of a bear. Yeah, from the angle it was taken, but again, perspective shot. Its mouth looked all crazy and it was bloated because it had obviously been sitting in the water for a little bit. And perspective shots, one fisherman's behind it, the other guy's in front of the mouth taking the shot of this guy walking behind it. All this, people are eating it up. Send it
Mm-hmm.
around to my science team. Oh, wait a second. Almost immediately, my biologist Kyle, as well as my environmentalist Colleen, are like, no, that's a black bear, a young black bear with mange. And if you look at the area, it obviously took a hell of a tumble from somewhere, and that's why it's bloated because it smashed itself all the way down. It's been sitting in the water now for a bit.
Right. Right. And that does
And
happen when a corpse is sitting in the water. It does blow. It does expand, and people don't want to acknowledge that.
yeah, and realistically, the person that first posted that thing on their larger platform on YouTube and had everyone eating that up, as soon as I sent that to my science team, William also was like, "Oh man, I remember seeing that like almost 5, 6, 7 years ago." And
Yeah.
now people are putting that back out as, "Oh, recently this was submitted." It's like, yo, that's an old picture and it's debunked. And why is that now again refloating around and surfacing? And you just see people eating it up. But
Yep.
yet, as soon as someone in the comments, I don't say anything, but I just read through. As soon as someone brings up the same things I would be saying, everyone starts laughing at them or something and being like, yeah, you're just hating, man, or whatever. It's like, no,
Oh.
they're speaking truth.
Yep. It's like the taxidermied one, the photo that was allegedly taken from the rear window of a car that was backing up. That was just a taxidermied wolf. That's all that was. It was nothing like a Dogman. It was a taxidermied wolf that was re-edited in Photoshop, and people still to this day buy that it's a real Dogman photo.
Yeah, there's a couple of those, man. There's another one too that this person put in skeleton hands and used two different wolves to make it look like it was running across a field.
Yep.
There's another one where some bozo tried to, I believe you were the one that debunked this, tried to pull the whole Skyrim thing coming in
Yep.
at one of the scenes with the werewolves. There's somebody else that sent me a dog man crawling across their backyard in Wisconsin, total CGI too, man. So yeah, it's horrible
Right.
stuff, bro.
Yeah, I've debunked a couple of Dogman photos. The most infamous one that I debunked was the one of the Dogman under the lamppost. Whoever
Yeah, I
did
told
that,
Brian Barber about that. You know who
yeah,
did that, man? It was a security guard dude that did that. And
yeah,
he claimed that all this activity was going on. He nightly watched over this place. And oh my goodness, I was able to take it with this old school camera, like right here. Yeah, okay,
right,
buddy, you're a
right.
bozo. And the reason I use the term bozo is because the guy tried to hoax that all.
Yeah, he forgot to remove the base from the photo he used. It was the life-size stand-up from the werewolf from Cursed, and it was on a base, and he used that, but he didn't remove the base when he was editing his photo, so it matches up perfectly.
Brian Barber is gonna love that, man. Bigfoot's Barber Shop, one of my
Oh yeah,
hosts that comes on here, dude. Because yeah, he actually had brought that up one time, and I was like, dude, no, that's like fake too. He's like, oh man, really? And then I explained, I was like, yeah, like Tremblay actually breaks it down with that, so now he'll be able to hear the breakdown right here. So
yeah,
great stuff, man.
yep.
Sweet, dude. Well, thanks again for stopping in tonight, man, and hanging out with all of us and bringing the heat like I always do. It's great stuff, and I love to
Of
learn
course.
and nerd out, man. So I look forward to speaking to you again here in a couple of weeks, man, for sure.
Yeah, my absolute pleasure, brother. I love getting together with you and just sitting down and talking for a little bit. It's always a highlight of my week.
Thank you for everyone who once again stopped by tonight for this episode of Midnight Lycanthropy here on Star Fox Radio. If you do enjoy my content, please like, comment, subscribe, and share it. Feed the algorithm, and I will see you very soon.